Hey YouTube, so today it is July 25th, 2019, and today I'm going to be doing a book review again on this book. It's called The Divine Comedy by Dante. This is my second attempt at a review of the Divine Comedy. But having read it a second time, I now have like some fresh thoughts as to the cantos. So my initial thoughts is it's a bit of a horror book, basically. You know, as the cantos move forward, there's a lot of very depiction of interesting stuff that one might consider, you know, completely crazy. For example, in the 18th canto, there's a depiction of this pit where the sinners are sort of whipped by these dark beings into like this hole, or, you know, in a pool of excrement, or, you know, gorgons, you know, stuff like that. And Dante sort of paints this image of, you know, this eternal damnation in these darkest types of things. And it's kind of remarkable when one thinks about it, that this is 4,000 years old, and sort of damnation for the concept of sin, basically. It's the first installment. It's the Inferno, basically, and you know, it's dark stuff, I would say. You know, a lot of the depictions are very sort of impossible, things that would never happen in the world, but for some reason in this dark underworld, you know, they do happen in Dante's eyes. And yeah, you know, it's the worst of the worst when it comes to anything that could happen to a human being. You know, it's in the Inferno. You know, the sins are described in each circle. So it starts out with, you know, Greek figures like Oedipus or Socrates or Plato in the first circle, Cleopatra, you know, Homer, all supposedly are in hell according to Dante. And it sort of makes one think, you know, how people used to think 4,000 years ago, because this is very medieval. And you know, the references to God and are supposedly someone who knows of God, but you know, Dante is very, you know, he's very dark in the way he does things. Specifically the incorporation of these creatures in the dark underworld, like the Gorgas, half man, half tree, the centaurs, the minotaurs, the harpies, what else? The flying she devils. It's all supposedly, you know, part of this underworld. And the attitude that a lot of these creatures have is a very blunt and candid attitude to a human beings being in hell, like Dante, because at the moment Dante is the only living passing through these circles, and everyone else is supposedly not a human being. They're just souls or a sort of beast. And you know, the punishments are very gruesome stuff. They're incredibly gruesome, and it leaves a reader with this sort of it leaves the reader with a sort of, fear of the human condition and a sort of remorse as to, how humans live their life, basically. The Inferno is an Italian work, so there's an Italian translation alongside it, and it's right in a lot of ways. That's the thing, because although we have modernized and we have all these amenities, the human being is still made up of human beings were made up as years ago. So it's an interesting stuff that Dante is describing. And basically, I would say that the cantos are sort of, a descent, but they're also symbolic in the way the sins are sort of illustrated within the cantos. So, for example, in the 20th canto, there's a depiction of those who flatter, and in the 19th, there's a depiction of those who believe in fortune telling. So it's all very it's interesting stuff, I would say. It's not really like light reading. It's kind of like it's a dark personification of the human condition. It's remarkable how something so old can still be relevant today. And I sort of, getting back to my original point, that although we have modernized, the human being is still sort of made up of the same things it was made up, thousands of years ago. There's still the concept of sin, the concept of punishment, and the concept of God. So for someone like Dante to stay relevant nowadays is it pays testament to a lot of these things of the human condition and human nature. And he sort of consoles Dante and a lot of the things that he sees, because they're so dark and gruesome that it hurts for him to see it. So Virgil sort of consolidates Dante in explaining a lot of the things, and in analyzing and sort of making sense of what he's seeing. So yeah, that's the Divine Comedy. It's by Dante Alighieri, and I'll see you guys on my next update. Peace.